with regard to the Israel-Palestine conflict, it is so impossible to deal with in the American context. It is impossible to have a decent dialogue about it here. I find my work on the Israel-Palestine conflict is best received in Israel, which is very strange because it's all critical of Israel. And it's much harder for people to deal with it here. Suleiman Mansour, when he came to New York and spoke to my class, a Palestinian artist, he said, Palestinians in New York and Paris are very militant because it's easy. I think that there's a long problematic tradition in the United States of a very ugly type of solidarity with oppressed nations, and you had it in the Irish community here, and you have it in the Zionist movement, and you have it in some of the emerging pro-Palestinian activity here, where people take a much more belligerent posture than their counterparts in the actual country, because you have the freedoms you have in the United States to say what you want, to do what you want, to not feel you're really affecting anyone, to never have to talk to the adversary. And I think that that's really problematic. You know, I was raised in a Zionist household. I learned a lot of good things and a lot of bad things from that, and I've tried to learn things and develop a more nuanced perspective. I sometimes find the pro-Palestinian left in the United States seems a bit nuts, actually. I remember when Adam Shapiro came to New York to speak the first time, he was heckled because he didn't support suicide bombing. I mean, granted, those are three people in the audience who are nuts enough to heckle you because you don't support suicide bombing. But that's what he was heckled about. Because, you know, you have people like that running around within the activist scene here. So I think that people didn't like the fact that I was trying to put a human face on both sides and to try to approach it in a more nuanced way. People in the United States wanted you to either be, there was a constituency for being militantly Zionist, and there's also a constituency for being militantly pro-Palestinian, but there didn't seem to be a constituency for trying to work things out, I feel that if people from Europe or the United States want to live in the Middle East, they have to realize that they're moving in with Arabs, and they have to learn to live with Arabs. And I think the fact that people went through so many years in denial of that has created this situation. That somehow, and I don't know how, y'all are going to have to work that out, and you're going to have to, I find when I go to Israel, like, my Israeli friends are living in very close proximity to Arab people and Arab families, but don't know any of them. And that's a very dangerous situation, because you're living next to someone, but you're not having real human relations with them. And I know that's a white tendency anywhere one goes, that you can just ignore those people. It's a lot like the college students who move in here and ignore their neighbors, that there's now enough of a feeling of privilege and security that people can do that. But I don't think it's a very healthy way for people to live. And I would hope for a solution. I don't pretend to be an expert. I don't live there. Other people live there, and I do believe that the resolution is going to come from the people who live there, not the Jews or the Arabs in diaspora. It's going to come from the people who actually live there, who have to deal with it every day, who are going to be able to make some sense out of it. Nobody else really can. And I actually think there's probably too much outside interference.